Hey, it's up to us to take out Umbrella.
Happy Monday, everybody. Happy August. Or whatever day you happen to be watching this. I don't care. Today's Monday, and I'm all that matters. So, for anyone who doesn't know, amidst the craze lately of all the remasters and remakes, which, frankly, developers aren't coming up with themselves. People are begging for this shit. And if you don't believe me, you can go to Reddit, r/gaming, and just look at all the DAE, did anybody ever play Crash Bandicoot? Did anybody ever hear of Final Fantasy VII? Nope. What is that? I never heard of that game. What is Crash Bandicoot? What is Twisted Metal? Please tell me about these games from the ancient days of history. So anyway, as you can see on Reddit, people eat that shit up. People want all the old games. Which, just as a side note, I think it's hilarious. Because at the same time, any post or any discussion anywhere where you see people talking about what games they want, or, you see people discussing Xbox One backwards compatibility, talking about how cool it is to be able to play old games that you own, or even, you could go out and buy games. You don't have to own them yet. So, you'll see people that come on there and they're like, oh, who the fuck wants to play old games? Like even the Sony Entertainment of Europe president guy came out and said, whatever his name is, like Ryan Willis or something, James Ryan, whatever that asshole's name is. He was talking about Gran Turismo, and he was like, who wants to play this old shit? It looks awful. Well, I don't know. Your entire customer base, for starters, just judging by the activity on the internet. So anyway, along with all those other remakes, namely FF7, I want to mention it because it's going to tie in later. This game and FF7 are kind of unique in that category, as opposed to some of the other remakes, like Crash Bandicoot. I don't know what it's called, but it's pretty much like a one-for-one remake. So anyway, if anyone didn't know, Resident Evil 2 is finally getting an official remake after 16 years of fans asking for it. Why 16 years? Because that's when Resident Evil 1 Remake came out. It came out in 2001. Actually, I could be wrong. Let me check that out here. 2002. Okay, so 15 years. 15 and a half years. Almost. So, if anyone missed the announcement, and this was 2 years ago, so if you did miss the announcement, you're not really a fan. And I question why the fuck you would even be watching this video, but, here it is.
どうもレジデントイービルファンの皆さんこんにちは。H ことカプコン第一開発部プロデューサーの平林です。今回レジデントイービル2のリメイクプロジェクト、応援いただき本当にありがとうございます。皆さんの熱い情熱と応援のおかげで、ようやくこのリメイクプロジェクト開発決定いたしました。ありがとうございます。もう本当言葉通り We do it やりますよ。長い間皆さんからの要望いただきながらも、お答えできずに申し訳なく思っておるんですけれども、開発が決定したというところで我々第一開発部皆さんの声も聞きながら、最高のゲームプレイ体験をお届けできるように頑張っていきたいと思っております。このような形で直接皆さんに情報であったりメッセージというものも今後どんどん出していきたいなと思っているのでよろしくお願いいたします。これからもレジェンドイービルシリーズどんどん盛り上げていきたいと思っております。近いうちではレジェンドイービル0 HD リマスターも控えておりますので楽しみに待っていただけたらと思っております。はい、引き続きレジェンドイービルの、応援の方よろしくお願いいたします。それでは失礼いたします。
So that was almost 2 years ago in August 2015. I think like mid-August. They finally confirmed that they're actually going to make the game after, 15 years of asking. That dude's name is something Hirabayashi. He's a part of Capcom Studio. It's like internal Studio H2 or some shit like that. I don't remember. Not important. Anyway. They call him H, I guess, around Capcom. So he is going to, I guess he's going to lead the development team along with, whoever else works on it. That guy did not work on the original game, just for clarification. If he did, his names aren't in the credits anywhere. I don't know if we should hold that against him. I guess we'll see what happens. So that was the last time we heard anything positive about the remake. Again, 2 years ago. Actually, 2 years ago, I think. This article right here was actually 2 years ago as well. So, there used to be a remake by an indie developer called Invader Games. They were working in Unreal Engine 4 to do an unofficial Resident Evil 2 remake. And they got invited to Capcom to kind of discuss what they were working on, like what their ideas were, what their vision was for a remake 2, if you will. And, at the same time, they basically got a cease and desist letter telling them, like, hey, thanks for your collaboration, talking to us about Resident Evil 2 Remake. Obviously you're going to have to stop making yours, by the way. So they did that. And then after this collaboration happened, it actually came out that they were working on their own survival horror third-person shooter type game, which I imagine pretty much rose from the ashes of Resident Evil 2 Remake. Like, they kind of reused some existing assets and just changed things around a little bit. So that's called Daymare 1998. And, I'll stick that trailer up here in a little while. But it looks like it might be decent. So this is what they had been working on, before Capcom called them in, basically. It looks pretty cool. But, there's also a problem. So let's check it out. Okay, so when I said there were problems with that, I'm not even talking about the fact that it was super early alpha. There were footstep sounds playing at the wrong times. The muzzle flash was coming from, a foot and a half to the right of the gun. Just anything, like that whole thing was just plotting and just, I don't want to say awful because it was pretty cool to see, a game that you played over 20 years ago, 20 years ago, get translated into 3D with like a relative level of accuracy and still stay, as true as possible to the original. Not that hasn't been done already, because Capcom did that in Darkside Chronicles, and Slant 6, my skin's going to burn off now that I even mentioned their name, did the same thing in Operation Raccoon City, and they did a pretty good job of recreating the environment and making it look decent from scratch, basically. I highly doubt they still have those pre-rendered assets laying around at Capcom. But the problem with that is that's Resident Evil 4. That's not Resident Evil 2. So there's two groups of people, two groups of fans at this point. You have people that actually played Resident Evil before 2005 and loved it. And then you have people that never heard of it before until 2005. They played Resident Evil 4 first, and they thought it was the most amazing thing in the history of video gaming. So that's what they want. They might have gone back and played Resident Evil 2 and been like, this sucks, or this would be cool if I could see what I was aiming at and it was third person. And that doesn't need to happen. That's not what we want. As a community, I have not seen more than a few people adamantly saying that they want a Resident Evil 4 style remake. Now, that isn't to say I haven't seen any people, because I've seen a lot. I've seen tons of them. But the majority of people that I've seen talk about it admit that the only proper way to do this would be to give it the exact same treatment as a Resident Evil remake, the original from 2002, when all they did was basically just amp up the graphics, add some pretty sweet lighting, increase the texture quality, obviously, remodel the characters, get rid of the hilarious FMV intro video, with the actual real footage actors. And they added in extra content, obviously. They added in Lisa Trevor, and they changed the whole Neptune encounter, all that shit. They changed a lot of stuff. They added in extra areas for both Jill and Chris. But ultimately, the game stayed as true as possible to the original. Even though it looked drastically different, it pretty much played the same. And it was still recognizable as Resident Evil 1. And it stuck with the same camera angles for the most part. So, there's a whole lot of people that just want Resident Evil 4 with the Resident Evil 2 skin on it. And, that's just going to be awful. It's just going to be shit. I'm not trying to be closed-minded, but I can tell you for a fact that if they make Resident Evil 2 into a third-person shooter, just like every other fucking Resident Evil since 2005, it's going to be terrible. Caveat, obviously Resident Evil 7 is first-person, and it's good. You know what I mean. Every game between 2017 and 2005 has been the same third-person action horror crap that was not even good the first time around, and it got progressively worse, as each new game came out, and Capcom struggled to figure out what the hell they were even doing anymore. So, like I said, Invader Games got invited to Capcom. I don't know where, to Capcom, somewhere. They have tons of offices, so they went somewhere, and they talked about it. And then after all that happened, this is what came out like a week or two later. This is the game Daymare 1998 by Invader Games. Bears a lot of similarity, you'll see, to their alpha build of Resident Evil 2 Remake. Obviously, that never happened, at least not yet. It's late 2017 now, and we have no Daymare 1998. But, admittedly, that looks far better than what their Resident Evil 2 remake was. So I'm glad that they've had an opportunity to take their work and turn it into something that's their own, rather than potentially spoiling Resident Evil for people. Not that ever would have happened, because Capcom obviously isn't going to let any other developer work on Resident Evil. The fact that they even let Slant 6 make a game fucking amazes me. I can't even believe that ever happened. That could just be me. That could just be the fact that I'm aware how bad Slant 6 is at making games. Because I don't know about the rest of you, but I played SOCOM, and it's a fucking shitty game. It is bad. It is terrible. The guns don't work. The animations are jank as hell. The maps are all tiny and claustrophobic. Just nothing in the game works properly. And I'm talking about SOCOM 2. I haven't played SOCOM 4 or any of the other games. I just played the first two games and on PS2, and they're pretty fucking garbage. And anyone that actually likes SOCOM, including those two games, I don't listen to them because I don't give a shit what you have to say. If you like SOCOM, there's something wrong with you. So knowing that, and then knowing that Slant 6 made Operation Raccoon City, if I was Capcom, I wouldn't let anyone touch my IP either, because Raccoon City was fucking terrible. Even though Capcom is supposedly the one that ruined Raccoon City, if people on the internet, claiming to be Slant 6 developers are concerned. That's what I was told by some lady that, allegedly worked for Slant 6 on Raccoon City. She said that Capcom, saw the build that they had and told them to beef the enemies up because it was too easy. So that's apparently why the game that we got has fucking enemies that can survive 850 caliber fucking rifle bullets to the head. That's what I was told via the internet, by someone who's probably an idiot. I found that hilarious. So whoever you blame for Operation Raccoon City, it was someone's fault. I'm just as happy to blame both Capcom and Slant 6. I don't care. The point is, after that game, clearly you can see no other developer has touched Resident Evil. Whether there were any opportunities or not, I'm sure Capcom did that on purpose, because I wouldn't let anyone touch it either. I have to apologize for the video quality. Not this video, but the video clips, because they were the best clips that I could get. There aren't any high quality copies of these trailers and shit laying around. So you can see that Daybreak looks pretty cool. However, it's not Resident Evil 2. It's clearly not Resident Evil 2. It has the same base concepts in it. Limited ammo, kind of third person, claustrophobic, dark, kind of frightening environments, zombies or whatever the hell they are. You got to solve puzzles to get through doors. You got to have key cards. You pick up ammo, etc., etc. Really, the only difference is, at least in Daymare, most of those enemies appear to die pretty easily because you can aim in third person with a laser sight, and you basically are encouraged to shoot everything, which is also the problem, obviously, with their Resident Evil 2 alpha. I don't know if it's how the dude was playing, or if that was legitimately the max movement speed without holding a run button, because the dude was just plodding through the game, shooting every zombie possible. I don't know why he did that. I don't want to know why. The point is, that's not how Resident Evil 2 should play. If Resident Evil 1 Remake had been the same, If it had been basically Resident Evil 7 in the Spencer Mansion, it would have been stupid. Because in Resident Evil 7, there may not be a lot of enemies, but they're pretty easy to kill. It takes like 4 regular handgun bullets to kill a mold. Maybe like 2 high power, or whatever you want to call them. 2, I don't know. The game came out 7 months ago. I don't remember what shit was called. But like, the high power bullets that you made with the different gunpowder, with the gunpowder and the different fuel or whatever, they killed things more easily. And there were only like 4 basic types of enemies in 7. There were the regular molds, the molds with like the scythe shit on their hands, the big fat dudes that like spit acid shit at you, and then the crawly guys that were basically lickers. So, they could potentially have made Resident Evil 1 Remake like that with first-person view while keeping the same amount of enemies and bosses. But I'm pretty sure, I can guarantee you that it wouldn't have been the same game. It wouldn't have been as scary. It wouldn't have been as immersive or environmental. And that's the same reason why Resident Evil 2 is going to be terrible if they follow this path. Because the point of the game isn't to just shoot every enemy that you see on the screen. And in Resident Evil 2, there's a lot of them. Obviously, compared to 4 or 5 or 6, the amount is like night and day. It's totally irrelevant. But compared to the actual action games, Resident Evil 2 doesn't have that many enemies. There's like maybe 38 zombies, a few dogs, maybe 15 lickers, a couple bosses, a moth. Birkin, and a huge alligator, and a tyrant. That's about it. What we want, and when I say we, I mean actual Resident Evil fans, because I don't give a shit how you classify yourself if your opinion is different, because there's really only one proper way to do this, and that is by basically doing the exact same thing as the first remake.
Jill, come on! Chris, this way. Make for that mansion! The show must go on. It's not like we're out of this yet.
I think you'd better take a look at this.
What is it?
No.
Chris!
That's the one thing I hope they don't do. If they remake Resident Evil 2 in the same basic style as Resident Evil 1 Remake, I don't want them to add a new bullshit retconned character that had no place in the story for 25 years and then suddenly pops up like, hey, I'm the answer to everything, like Lisa Trevor was. And you know, it's pretty likely that Capcom is going to do that because that's how they do things. That's what they do. You know, like Wesker's Report 1 was entirely full of retcon. These are visual novels, like Wesker's Report 2, also entirely full of retcon. As far as the end of the first game was concerned, he was dead. And then they brought him back to life in Wesker's Report, which is bullshit. You know, Resident Evil 2 even retconned the first game. Like, it made changes about Ada Wong, I'm pretty sure. But those were at least believable because, like, in Resident Evil 1, when you heard of Ada, it was John, you know, one of the Umbrella researchers, saying she was his girlfriend or whatever. And then in Resident Evil 2, it was Ada coming in and saying, like, oh, ha, you know, I only pretended to be his girlfriend to infiltrate, you know, the company. Resident Evil 4 didn't necessarily add in retcon, but you know how it is. Like, literally the first 30 seconds of the game are a scrolling text wall where they kill off Umbrella in one sentence without any realistic explanation or anything. I'm sure there's a TV/video game trope for that on the internet, but you know, I'm not that far up my own asshole that I'm going to look it up and mention the term specifically. I'm not that bad of a hipster. But then, it gets even worse after that. Like Resident Evil 5, they decided that, Umbrella has actually been working on this shit for over 100 years. And, oh, by the way, Wesker is actually, like, a genetically modified, you know, like, laboratory-raised child or something. Like a Wesker child. I don't remember the whole story. And then, I don't think Resident Evil 6 actually did any retcon. The Simmons and the family might have actually had some part in the previous stories, you know, retroactively, of course. But the most egregious thing in Resident Evil 6 story-wise is that in the arcade, like, you know, the unlockable area that has all the story tidbits after you shoot all the family insignias. If you go look at that arcade and actually read the information that's in there, it just has straight up false information. Like, you know, one of the things says Chris Redfield met up with Claire Redfield on Rockford Island. That's not what happened. And, you know, you would expect Capcom to have actually played their own fucking games to know that. But that's what it says in Resident Evil 6, and that's definitely not what happened, because anyone who plays Code Veronica knows Chris came to Rockford Island. She was gone because she had already flown to Antarctica. He got to Rockford, and Wesker was there blowing shit up, you know, and they fought for 5 seconds, and then he escaped and followed them to Antarctica. So you can see, I mean, Capcom doesn't even give a fuck. They don't even know their own intellectual property anymore. So, you know, that's one of my fears for Resident Evil 2 Remake, is the same way that they did for Remake 1. They're going to add in some retcon that just further screws up the story in some way. I hope not, but I know it's going to happen. As far as the other things, you know, I would strongly prefer that they leave the dialogue and the voice acting alone. But, you know, that's not going to happen because there's already been stories, and those have been the only stories that have come out in the past year regarding the voice acting for the RE2 remake. Like, there's a story, Allison Court is not going to play Claire Redfield. You know, she was the original voice actress. She played Claire in Resident Evil 2 and Code Veronica. I'm not sure what else. I think she may have voiced her in actually, she isn't in any of the games. My bad. She may have voiced her in Degeneration. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure she didn't do the voice in Revelations 2. Yeah, like it says right here, Claire's Revelations 2 voice is provided by James Baker. Well, I don't know what the fuck that means. Just like the writer of this article. So she's not doing Claire. Paul Haddad, who voiced Leon Kennedy, isn't coming back to voice Leon. Sally Cahill isn't going to come back and voice Ada Wong. The guy that, voiced Marvin Branagh, he's not going to come back, I can guarantee you. And the worst part is, the story came out, I don't know if they mentioned it in this article or not, but she specifically had actually been hired by like a third-party contracting company here in America, or I'm sorry, it may have been in Vancouver in Canada, to, reprise the voice of Claire. And so, she went and she signed up and she was like, cool, well, I would love to do that. And then apparently either Capcom or the the voice talent agency or whatever total 180'd and canceled after already signing her, and they're going with someone else. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure there are like legitimate, at least seemingly at the time, business reasons behind these decisions. But it seems like a whole lot of stupid bullshit that should not happen in the first place. Like, if you're going to do a remake, the only option is to go with the originals, unless they're dead, okay? Unless they're dead or they have like leukemia or, they had a tracheotomy or something and they literally can't even talk the same way, then there's no reason to use any other voice actor or actress. So, I mean, that's already a strike against this remake. I would count the fact that they even talked to Invader Games as another strike beforehand, because I really don't trust what's going to come out of that situation. I swear, like, I'm telling you, if this game is a third-person shooter like Resident Evil 4, I'm not buying it at any price, ever. It doesn't matter what price it is. I don't care if it comes with a life-size resin statue of Birkin in its final form. I don't care if it comes with a life-size Ada Wong. I don't give a shit. Like, if they make those types of changes to the game, I'm not buying it. So, like I was talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake earlier, I singled that out specifically. That and this game are my two main concerns, because we already know that Square Enix is going to fucking ruin FF7. So the only question left is, Capcom going to do the same thing with Resident Evil 2. And, as pissed as people are going to be about FF7, I think a lot of people are going to be pissed about this as well, if the same kind of crap happens. So, H, as he's called, I guess the last time anyone said anything at Capcom about this game was kind of hinting at it releasing next year, 2018, hopefully early, which will be the 20th anniversary of Resident Evil 2's release in 1998. I don't know why it may work out that way. I don't think they would plan it that way if it was already done. Because like Resident Evil 1 Remake obviously only came out 7 years after the original. So it's not like that was an anniversary. Technically, it was a 7-year anniversary, but not one that matters. So those are my thoughts on Resident Evil 2 Remake. I hope I'm wrong about everything. I hope it doesn't become an action game. I hope Leon isn't carrying around an attaché case with 10,000 fucking inventory slots. I hope that you can't QTE zombies to death. Like, I hope I hope a Cerberus doesn't jump on you and you can just be like, you know, tap X, tap circle. Oh, you shoved a knife through its head. Although that would at least be understandable because, you know, you had defensive daggers in Resident Evil 1 Remake. As long as you can shove a knife in an enemy's head and it disappears from your inventory forever until you pick up new ones, I'll be fine with that. But if you liked the video, you probably didn't. If you want to bitch, you know, if you want to leave some comments, if you want to discuss the Resident Evil 2 remake, go ahead and do that in the L comment section. For now, I'm done with this low rent, shittily organized video. Peace, everyone.